Hello and welcome to Starting Points. Hello and welcome to Starting Points. In this video I've struggled with a lot of things and I'm just going to try my best to share some things with you. So bear with me, please. The first thing that I wanted to share was Voyages of Discovery, a visual celebration of 10 of the greatest natural history expeditions. And this is Dr. Tony Rice. Now, this is really the start of looking at chimpanzees. But to do that, I wanted to share certain things from history a bit about expeditions. So here are 10 of them. I'm not going to share all 10 of them, but I will mention one which includes this purple-faced tree monkey, not a chimpanzee. And it takes place in Ceylon. Now, Ceylon is you won't find it on a map, current map. It goes by the name of Sri Lanka now. It's like a lemon or something shape under the bottom part of India, and it has had a long history. For many years, of course, it just was Ceylon, and maybe not even called Ceylon. I haven't traced its history. But when the Portuguese wanted to get in on the trade with China and the area that we would call the Spice Islands, Borneo and that Indonesia, they crept around the coast of Africa and then embarked and got it finally over to where they could trade, and then back they came. And hugging the coast, they would have come to Ceylon, and they decided there would be a stopping point for them. So they took over the island, and for many years they oversaw the running of that island. Along came the Dutch, and the Dutch wanted to get in with their Dutch East India Company, and they took over the island from the Portuguese. And some years went by, and then who should come along but the English. And the English took it over from the Dutch. So the island changed hands a number of times, but it was a tropical island with all kinds of life on it. Now, when these expeditions went on, they didn't have cameras. These expeditions were looking at, maybe from 1700 to 1870 or so, maybe about a 200-year period. They didn't have cameras then. They had no way to record the animals they found. So what they did is they'd have a painter on the expedition, or maybe even two, and they'd have a shooter or two, and their shooter's job was to shoot and kill the animal, and then the animal would be skinned and cleaned up and stuffed and taxidermy, and then posed. where it wouldn't move, because otherwise you'd never get your sketch accomplished. So that's what happened to the animal that was used here. Now, that was the practice in the expedition, to have a shooter or shooters. And that stayed as the practice for a long, long time. Here's a book that's a fascinating book. I mean, and the man writes, he's got a tremendous way with words. It was published in 1937. Animal Treasure, Ivan T. Sanderson. He was English, and he went down to collect animals in the Cameroons. Now, collecting still meant, in this case, he didn't have a camera, and though there were cameras, you shot the animal. You had a taxidermist. You did all the cleaning up, and then that was what was shipped back to natural history museums that were interested in cataloging new forms of life and having displays of these stuffed animals in their museums. Some of you may have been to some natural history museums and seen stuffed birds or things like that. And they also would often have drawers where they kept all these species, and sometimes artists would use those from the Natural History Museum and post them. So, back to this story. He writes about everything. He's got 10 chapters from mosquitoes and horseflies up to chimpanzees and gorillas. And so it's a neat book. I often wish that this is sort of sad to think about those things, but a funny story was written by Shel Silverstein. I know a person who read it to second graders. Lafcadio, the lion who shot back. And but lions don't shoot back. There's one other little thing I wanted to share with you, and that is this is the atlas that shows a good size representation of Africa. And where the man went was called the Cameroons. And the Cameroons are right in the bend where this part meets that part, right in this bend. And in 1939, at the time he would have been there, his book was 37, so, but at that, this is a map of 1939, the pink countries are British and the green countries are French. The Cameroons at that point, he would have been in the British part of the Cameroons. There was also a French part. That country was sort of divided. So that part of Africa gets over 90 inches of rain a year, as does this part and some of Madagascar. And it's neat to have things like that. Rainfall, as we know, is so important in everywhere, actually. Now, Is there anything else that I'm missing out on here? Oh, all the European countries seem to get in on this. The Spanish had colonies. The Italians had Libya and East Africa. The Belgian Congo. The Belgians had the Congo. There had been Dutch settlers in South Africa at one point, but all of that is now pretty much English. French have Madagascar. Libya is independent. Egypt is independent in 1939. Well, thanks for joining me. Until next time, when I'm going to pick up with somebody who came as a collector after the Second World War. And some things have changed. Thanks again. Bye for now.